I have spent the last 2 weeks at Lido di Venezia at the Venice Film Festival, which is why I have been pretty MIA recently, and also why this video is going up Monday instead of Sunday, which is my usual day. The experience I had working at the film festival is one that I never want to forget and that I want to share. So I'm also going to use this as sort of a digital diary. For a little bit of context, basically I worked as a waitress at the main restaurant there, La Terrazza Biennale, which is managed by Tino Eventi, which is a sort of catering company. Tino is the owner, he's the chef, he's the one who started it all. And every year he hosts the Venice Film Festival. He does most of the catering and like the bar services and cafes and restaurants. So I worked as a waitress at one of the main ones. Terrazza Biennale means it's a terrace. So it was like right oceanfront restaurant, very beautiful. Going into this, I did not expect the amount of work that it was gonna be. I certainly learned a lot, not just about the hospitality industry, but about like work and ambition, work ethic, dedication, that are lessons to be carried throughout my life. The first few days I was like, there's no way that I can survive 2 weeks of this. I did in fact survive 2 weeks of it. By the end of it, I felt really, I still feel really proud of myself, and I met so many amazing people. So I will just start from the beginning, and I also took some videos and pictures, so I'll insert them as I go. For those of you who don't know, the Venice Film Festival is held every year at Lido di Venezia, which isn't really in the center of Venice, but at Lido, which I don't know the translation in English. So at the festival, they have movie premieres every day, but there are also a few restaurants and cafes where obviously like the people go and eat, famous actors, and also just people who are visiting. There's like the red carpet where they all walk on before they go to the movie premiere, and most people stay at the Excelsior, which is the main hotel. The people who are working at the film festival stay in other places or like apartments, which is where I stayed. I stayed at Alberoni, which is like 20 minutes from the red carpet by bus, which was super easy to take every day, and it was provided by the company I was working for. The restaurant I was working at, Terrazza Biennale, is only up for these 2 weeks, the entire year. So it's like a structure that it gets taken down every year and rebuilt back up for the festival. So these 2 weeks are extremely busy because so many people come. It's more of a high-end restaurant, so they also have like an image to maintain, good quality products, really professional chefs. So I also feel very honored that I got to work here. My favorite part about the restaurant is that it was right next to Terrazza Campari, which is the Campari like bar VIP area. So they had a bar outside where drinks were served, and most people went to do like aperitivo to go like before dinner, or even after dinner they had a DJ. It was nice to work right next to that because I got to hear the music, and there was just a really good atmosphere, like good vibes, fun people. So this all started on August 27th was the setup day. The film festival ended on September 7th. The first day, the 28th, I did not know what I was really getting into. I was not told how everything would work. I kind of just assumed that, so basically the restaurant was open lunch to dinner, like late evening, like into the night basically. And lunch would start at 12:30 and the dinner service would end at 11. However, a lot of exceptions were made because the chef often had guests come, and if someone of a certain like importance, you know how it works, like if someone is famous and they come in at midnight wanting something to eat, we're gonna give them a table. Every evening we were completely booked, like so many people, and we would always try to accommodate people who didn't have a reservation. It was really rare that we turned down anyone. We did everything to get people seated. We would even like bring in tables from the outside bar area inside just to have seating for them. So it would definitely get hectic and very stressful at times. I would get there at 10:30 every day to set up because there was a lot of setup required, like the tables. The busiest night was like 210 people total, which for the space that we had, it wasn't like this huge dining area. For the space that we had, it was it's a lot of people. My daily routine was to wake up around 9, get ready, change. I would go take the bus, which took about 20 minutes from the apartments that I was staying at. I would get to work. First, I would stop at the bar. Oh, this was also really nice. We got breakfast, lunch, and dinner provided for us. So I would go to the bar, get breakfast, normally just like a yogurt and some fruit. And I would also pick up some croissants for the other staff working at the restaurant. So then I would bring them the croissants from the bar. But at lunch, I had a little bit more time to talk to the customers. It was nice because I really liked taking the dessert orders. That was sort of my job, and it was kind of fun because the other people working would tell me like, okay, table 205 wants dessert. So I would go to their table, and there was a lot of desserts, and I had memorized them all. Wait, I can probably still say them. Gelato alla vaniglia, sorbetto ai frutti bosco, tiramisù, bavarese alla vaniglia, bavarese ai frutti bosco, bavarese agli agrumi, tortino alla pesca, e ravioli d'ananas. That was all of them. And I would say them with that speed. I would say them pretty fast. And so the people at the table would sort of look at me like, and so like they would ask for an explanation of all of them. And I don't know, that was like one of my favorite parts. And maybe, I don't know if not everyone hears it. I think I definitely hear it, but I have a slight accent when I speak Italian. But a lot of people hear an accent, they just don't know where it's from. And I actually got a lot of comments while I was working here. Then I like explained to them that I'm from LA. I was like born and raised there, but my parents are Italian. I explained my whole life story basically. And it was always nice when that happened because people seemed like genuinely interested in me and like who I am and what I'm doing here. One time a guy asked me, he was like, okay, I'm like super passionate about accents and I just want to guess where you're from. So you're from Albania. I was like, not quite. I was like, no, get another guess. I'll give you another guess. Hungary? No, I'm from LA. I'm from America. So I would say that was one of the main satisfactions of this job was all of the people that I got to talk to. Overall, I proved to myself that if I set my mind to something, I can do it. This was like physically one of the most exhausting things I've ever done. I came home yesterday and I think I slept for 12 hours tonight. My whole body sort of is sore because from 10 to 1 a.m. it was nonstop. We had lunch service that would end at 4, and then we would start at 5 right away with aperitivi. And there were people like having drinks and food. And then at 7:30 we would start with dinner, and dinner wouldn't end for a long time. Normally I would get an hour or 2 break in between. And in my break, I always got a Magnum gelato because they were one of the sponsors for the whole like film festival. And working there, I was able to get them for free. So that was my favorite part, like one of the highlights. There were some days I would eat 2. Like I would have one at my break and one after dinner, and amazing. Also, another positive thing is that whenever the chefs would mess up a dish, I would get to eat it. So I ate a lot of like fish, and last day we got oysters. I was really happy about that. Like I got really close to the people I was working with in such a short amount of time because we're all going through the same exhaustion. We're all going through the same experience of like, what am I doing here? Why did I decide to do this? But also like, this is a really gratifying job. It was draining physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, but it was worth it. In the beginning of our shifts, we would play music, and that would like get me in the right mindset. It's like in the vibe. I was always singing. I was like dancing around, and then by the end of the night, I was like so tired. But around like 9 or 10, the Campari Terrazza, the bar area, would start playing house music, and just like I was pumped up. So I would go around the dining area sort of with like a pep in my step, you know. There was one guy, I'll remember this. There was one man, and he was like, this girl is always so smiley and she works so many long hours, but she is so positive, and I really admire this. He was super sweet. He came in multiple times, so I got to see him more than once. But that happened on a few occasions where I would find my like happy moments with other people, I would always try and make their dining experience great, but then if I saw that they were happy, it would make me happy. If you've worked in the service industry, like, you know, you kind of have to like read the mind of the client, because sometimes they don't want to say something, or sometimes they want something and they're not going to ask for it. If the water's finished on the table, you bring a new water. If the bread's about to finish, you bring new bread. You don't wait for them to ask you. You just sort of do. You have to mind read a little bit. And I feel like I tried to do that. My boss, Tino, who's like the owner of everything, sort of saw that in me. I think he saw that I really tried to make the people dining there, have the best experience. And a lot of the times he would introduce me to like important clients or someone who he was like friends with, and he'd be like, this is Victoria, she's from LA. I feel like he kind of was sort of proud of the fact that I was working for him, and honestly I'm proud of the fact that I was working for him. Like, he's an important figure, like here at least, and has built a very successful business. But anyway, whenever he would introduce me to someone, people were always very positive and very interested in who I am, and would ask me questions, and then I would ask them questions, and I would have a lot of good conversations, and everything would make it worth it. Like, if I was having a long day, if it was hard, if it was difficult, I don't want to be there, and then this would happen, I would just feel like, okay, this is all worth it. And also, I was the youngest one there, and everyone was in their like 20s, 30s, or 40s. So I also think I was seen as a little bit like, oh, the blonde American girl who is sort of, we don't really understand why she's here, like what she's doing. Something else that really helped me get through all of it was the people I was working with, because they treated me really well. And whenever I didn't know something, I mean, I've worked in a restaurant, but not of this sort of level, and not in Italy. So doing everything in Italian was also a little bit different for me. The other employees were very willing to help me, to teach me, tell me right from wrong, and even if I didn't listen sometimes, they were very patient. And the chefs in the kitchen we had a really good dynamic. Like, we would make fun of each other, and I think it was Jennifer Coolidge, I think that's who it was, in an interview once explained, she used to work in a restaurant as well, explained like the I love you, hate you relationship with a chef, which is so true. Like, one moment they're just so angry, and the next they're very loving. And then every time that I would ask like a dumb question, they would make me write it on the wall. Sometimes I would have like a little bit blonde moments. And I'm going to end by talking about my favorite night of all. I want to say it was like the 5th or the 6th evening, but after the dinner service, it was Saturday. So we went to Terrazza Campari, like me and the people I was working with, the other staff, and we got some drinks, and there was the DJ, and there was like a lot of people. We partied it up. We were dancing, we had fun. we kind of like, we got a little bit tipsy, and just seeing my coworkers in that atmosphere was just, it is so funny. And I think they saw another side of me that night. They definitely did. And from then on, I think we all took the job a little less seriously. That was my experience working at the Venice Film Festival. If anyone wants to know how to work there, or how to attend the film festival, I definitely have some advice on that. Feel free to reach out in my DMs. I'm really happy that I did this, but I'm also really happy to be home and see my mom. And now I have a week before I go back to America, and then 2 more weeks before school starts. There are a few parts of this trip that I will keep in my memories forever. If you know, you know. But thank you for watching this vlog. I will be back next week on Sunday, as usual. Grazie di aver guardato questo vlog, e ci vediamo alla prossima.